Hey leaders, I'm excited to be attending the Scale with Stability Summit this April 24th through the 26th at Harding University, and I would love for you to join me. Many of my clients are attending. This event is designed for faith-driven entrepreneurs and business owners looking to scale their businesses without stress or burnout. And right now, you can get an extra 20% off with my exclusive code Catalytic20 at checkout. Visit scalewithstability.com to grab your ticket. I'll hope to see you there. I'm so excited to have Walker Ferguson on the podcast today. Walker's a student athlete and entrepreneur, excelling both on the field as a safety for Wake Forest University and off the field as the co-founder of Ascend, a meditation and wellness app that uses AI. His journey combines leadership, innovation, and resilience as he navigates the challenges of balancing athletics and business. Walker is passionate about creating tools that empower personal growth and wellness while sharing his insights on teamwork, focus, and building something impactful from the ground up. Walker, I'm so glad you're here, man. Thanks for being on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Dr. Attaway.
Welcome to Catalytic Leadership, the podcast designed to help leaders intentionally grow and thrive. Here is your host, author, and leadership and executive coach, Dr. William Attaway.
I would love for you to start by sharing some of your story with our listeners, particularly around your journey and your development as a leader. How'd you get started?
Yeah, so for me, grew up in Richmond, Virginia my entire life. Played everything with a ball growing up, baseball, basketball, football, lacrosse, you name it. And then my leadership journey really started, I'd say, like when I got to high school. I was team captain of the football team as well as the lacrosse team from sophomore year onward. And I really learned how to put myself above others, right? Put others before myself, right? Servant leadership, right? How can I serve someone and make their life a little bit better? And how can I put my teammates before myself to get to the common goal? And that got really instilled at an early age in high school. And then, I was fortunate enough to play football at Wake Forest. When I got to Wake Forest, my leadership role was a lot different, right? I was a scout team player for my first 2 years. I wasn't traveling. And that's really where a lot of Ascend came in. But through that, I kind of had a different role of leadership where it was still servant leadership, but I was no longer the team captain, right? I was no longer the guy that everyone was coming to. I had more of a minor role where I could help others behind the scenes and build those relationships, because I truly do believe you can love, you can serve, and you can lead at any level, no matter if you're the team captain or, your freshman year player on the team, right? So that's kind of like how I like my leadership, like through sports. And then like for Ascend, that's been a whole whirlwind in itself. So sophomore year, kind of like I said, wasn't playing, right? Not traveling, still on scout team, things at home weren't great. And same with like the social life, right? And my partner Hampton, he was going through something very similar at the same time. So from there, we were at this low spot. We were either in the past depression or future anxiety, but we were never in the present moment, right? So from there, that's when we really learned like the power of meditation, the power of mindfulness, how to breathe, what gratitude was, right? So we ended up taking a step back and just realized like, we are so blessed and like fortunate right now that we are at the University of Wake Forest, like playing football. Like not many people can say that. And like that's a blessing in of itself, right? So kind of my journey kind of like went on a little bit more, just kind of like learning, right? I'm a Christian guy myself. So when I learned how to breathe, I would really meditate on scripture, right? Understand like what the Lord was telling me, right? I felt this like sense of peace that would always wash over me when I was diving in the word, when I was taking time. Because for me, prayer was speaking to God and meditation was listening, right? And Hampton was a little bit different. He took more of the stoicism approach, right? And we were both teaching each other a lot of things, learning a lot, right? We had gotten a free application through school called Calm, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And we loved how it gave, base meditations, base sleep stories, right? And nobody beats a Matthew McConaughey or an Adam Sklar voice, right? But nothing felt specific for the user, right? For what we were going through when we weren't playing, right? Not only to reduce stress and anxiety, but also to see ourselves achieving on the field, right? To get to where we wanted to be, visualization to achieve a goal. So that's kind of how the idea of Ascend transformed. And getting back to your original question about leadership, I'm a firm believer that you got to find the who before the what. And when you find the bus starts rolling, right? Jim Collins said it best in his book, Good to Great. And, that's what we've been able to do at Ascend. We've added 3 more people now to the growth team. We hired an intern, and we're figuring out some tech things on the tech side of things. But I've learned a lot. I learned how to serve others in a different capacity that wasn't sports. And at the end of the day, it's like, how can we work together, allow everyone to maximize their strengths to get to work towards a common goal, right? Because that's what life's all about, is synergy. So a little bit about me and my story.
So, I talk with a number of college students, and I've got to tell you, just balancing being a student, much less being an athlete, is a pretty full plate. Running a startup, in addition to those things, that plate overflows. How do you do that? How do you balance and have any semblance of spare time?
Yeah, no, I think it's from a couple of things. I think the first thing that really sticks out in my mind is 2 words. It's discipline and consistency, right? Mm-hmm. It's showing up every day and being the same person, right? No matter what. It's like, if I have a time I set to wake up, it's like I wake up at that time. It's like, if I'm reading at this time, I'm reading my book at this time, right? Finding ways to recharge, right? There's another book I really like too that's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Great
and
book.
That book's unbelievable. But like in the last chapter for the 7th habit, he talks about sharpening the saw, right? The spiritual, the mental, the physical, and the social and emotional. And like for me, I'm a big planner. So on Sunday, I'll write out kind of like how I can do that this week and how I can mesh that in. Because if I can take care of myself and recharge my batteries, then I'm able to give my energy to my team. I'm able to give my energy to Send. And that way I can learn and grow. And that comes down to discipline too. It's just doing the things that nobody wants to do and just embracing the suck. So yeah, that's what I would say.
That's really good. It sounds like time blocking is your friend.
100%. Yes, sir.
So what has been your biggest challenge so far? I mean, you're building something from the ground up, and you've got a partner, right? You've got a team. Mm-hmm. Is it leading the team? Is it building the product itself? What's the biggest challenge you've hit?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge has been more like on the tech side. I think Hampton will say the same thing. I'm not a comm sci guy. Hampton's not a comm sci guy, and that's tough, right? Because it's like we don't have direct control over that, right? So, we were pretty fortunate to get on iOS pretty early with our MVP. And we didn't really think getting on the Play Store for Android would take that long. And, to be truthful, it's been a very long time, and we're still pushing to get on Android. And then from there, we'll have a true MVP out on both. And then from there, we have big dreams and goals. We want to really get the app to that calm level of an app, right? To get our voice actors, implement them into the AI, animations, the user flow better, homepage, like all these new features that we really want to get out in 10 to 12 weeks when the true MVP's out on iOS and Google Play. And it's just so tough because that's when, I've really been tested as a leader too, because it's like, I don't know how to do those things, right? It's like anything else, if it's like growth related, sales related, like I can learn, I can spend the time to do it and figure it out. But like, I don't know how to code. So that's been really tough and a really tough challenge just to find the right people to kind of learn and grow, because we kind of hit the jackpot early on, to be honest with you, with our developer, Colin, who was unbelievable, but he ended up having to resign because he had to go work for Vanguard and they had a non-compete. So we lost a pretty heavy player on the team. But, our Hampton Eye's attitude was always like, well, good, we'll figure it out, right? Because it's like with the right team, with the right people, you learn and grow. And right now we're trying to figure out, who we can get on the development team that, with our bootstrapped budget, can help us grow and get to where we need to go. So I would definitely say the most challenging part, without me blabbing, is definitely the tech side of things, to getting the product up.
So how do you find new team members? How do you find that right person?
Yeah, so a lot of it's through, just life, like relationship building. There was 2 really good guys that really stuck out to me. As soon as we started Send, Hampton and I were like, we're going to ask them to join the growth team because they're great salesmen and they're hungry, right? They like to do things that nobody else wants to do, and they like to go the extra mile. And they're a little bit weird, kind of like myself, right? So getting those people on the team was like instant, right? So as soon as we were at that stage, I recruited both of them, and we got them going right away because I was like, you guys are going to be great on growth. God's so good too, and life is about synergy and who you meet. I reached out to a man named Mark Oldham, who is a golf professor, he's in the golf world, right? And I was reaching out about advice to connect us with some golfers to help spread the word about the app. He ended up connecting me with one of his daughters, Morgan Lee Oldham, and she ended up becoming our CMO after Hampton and I had met with her and talked to her. So that's kind of how that worked out. And then, I was also pretty fortunate too, because I ended up going to New York in the summer of last summer. So the summer of 24, And I worked an internship there for a company called Alpha Sites, which was a knowledge on demand firm. And from there, I really got good at using LinkedIn, like Sales Navigator, to find the right people. So as weird as it sounds, I was able to use like Boolean strings and find like really specific people on LinkedIn, be able to contact with them, and then connect with them, send them a note, and then try to get them on the phone. And then when we got on the phone, I was able to talk with them. And that's how we found our UI UX developer, as well as the other developers we've been talking to. So
that's fantastic.
Yes, sir.
What kind of culture are you building at Ascend?
Yeah, so our values, actually, we use the acronym GREAT, which is gratitude, relentless effort, excellence, action-oriented, and then trust. And that's the culture we're building, right? We want to be a team that, all of us are all seen as equals, right? It's like, I'm not above somebody else, right? It's like Hampton's not above someone else. It's like, how can we all use our skills and our attributes to get to where we want to go, but keeping the end goal in mind and why we started this thing, right? To not become $1 billion company, but to help 1 billion people live happier, healthier lives. And we truly embody that. And that's why that when you ask anybody on our team what great means, they'll spit it out for you just like that, because that's the values, right? And without your values, without your vision, you're never going to get to where you want to go, because everyone's got to be bought in and believe in.
Is that, how do you get your new team members to buy in? Is this something that you're sharing with them during the interview process?
For sure.
And you want them 110% bought in before they ever step foot on the team?
100%. So like I said, it's the two guys on the growth team, we kind of knew like right away, just because we knew who they were and we've had relationships with them for so long. With Morgan Lee, when Hampton did the interview process with her, and then I was able to join in after, we just knew she checked every single box for like our values and the way we wanted to be, right? And then regarding like the tech side of things, we will interview the tech guys with Colin, who is, like I said, resigned, and he'll make sure that they have the base understanding, the base knowledge to be able to do the best job, that they're qualified. And then from there, me and Hamp will do a behavioral interview and just make sure that they meet the team's values and and where we're going. Because like I said, if you don't have the right people on the bus isn't going to move. And we definitely figured that out pretty early on with a couple of employees that we had to let go as well in the first year.
Let's talk about that for a second, because a lot of startups are trying to figure it out and they're building the plane while they're flying it.
Yep.
And sometimes you bring somebody on the team and you realize pretty quickly, or they do, or both, this is not the right bus that they need to be on.
Yes, sir.
What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty tough for me. For sure, because I love believing in people and I love giving people the benefit of the doubt. And I'm a firm believer in second, third chances, right? Because I like to see the best in people, and I truly do believe that a lot of people really do have good hearts and they want to serve others and get to where they want to go. But we had one team that we hired for like a marketing company in Reels, and we were just getting them like 2-3 weeks late, like they weren't good quality, and it was just we just rushed it, to be honest. We weren't ready to be marketing anyway. So that one was a little bit easier, just to say like, it really wasn't working out. We'll pay you for, the Reels. But then after that, let's kind of just part ways. We don't necessarily need to be doing business together, because we definitely don't have clear expectations. And that's a really good learning experience. So glad it happened, to be able to define your expectations up front and make sure every single team member is on the same page. So we all, like I said, can contribute to that common goal, right? And that was definitely a big learning one for me. And then the other employee we hired off LinkedIn too. She definitely promised a lot of things with, getting in the newspaper, a lot of like journalism things, PR, like all of these things. And it wasn't being delivered. And there was constantly just like, I have a migraine, I have to do this, XX. And, I just got to a point where it's like, this has happened like 25 times now. And it's like, this is just a habit, right? It's like, how much grace can you give? Because I'll be the first one to say that, like, I love giving people grace. Like, if you can't make a meeting, something comes up with your family, like, I get it, like 100%. Like, family's always first in my book. But when it's that was definitely tough. So that was the first like true conversation that I had to have, like face to face with him, and really just have that tough conversation. Just be like, this isn't working out, and we want to part ways. But like I said, God's so good. It was another learning experience, and everything was a blessing, because I got to learn and I got to know what I'm looking for in team members in the future, what we are looking for team members in the future, and how we can learn and grow together. So, it was a blessing in disguise because it was a great learning experience.
Yeah, I love that mindset. I always say there's no such thing as a wasted experience. It's either something that's going to benefit you or something that's going to benefit somebody else around you if you have a teachable spirit about it. And that's something that is so evident throughout this conversation. Have you always operated from a mindset of teachability? I want to take a minute to tell you about an event that I'm really looking forward to and excited about. The Scale with Stability Summit, happening April 24th through 26th at Harding University. This is Arkansas's #1 business growth event, bringing together faith-driven entrepreneurs and business leaders who want to scale their businesses without sacrificing their faith, family, or sanity. You'll hear from incredible speakers, including Damon John from Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington, the original shark, and Willie Robertson from Duck Commander, plus some of the best business minds in leadership, marketing, and growth. I'll be there, and many of my clients are attending as well. Right now, standard tickets are already 25% off, and as a listener of the Catalytic Leadership Podcast, you get an extra 20% off with my code Catalytic20. Go to scalewithstability.com and secure your ticket today. I would love to see you there.
I'd like to think I'd always try to be open-minded. Like my life philosophy is like be curious, not judgmental, or like one of them. Nice. So every single day I want to learn something new, and obviously not like pass any judgment on others, but just try to learn from them, right? Because everyone has something to offer this world, and everyone's story is so powerful. So just being able to listen.
It's really good. So, the discipline that is required to accomplish what you're accomplishing is not small. It's a significant amount of discipline. We've touched on that. As you get out of school and are able to focus on this full time, where do you see this going? Like, is this going to be like the next 10 years are ascend? Do you have other ideas? What's next for you?
Yeah, so I definitely, I think the sky's the limit with Ascend, truthfully. We really started our development in May, so we're really just coming up on 1 year. And we've made a lot of significant strides. We're talking with a lot of universities to essentially get into their athletic department where they'll pay us X amount of dollars for all their student athletes. And then they give us all the student athletes' emails and we give them a free subscription to the app. And I feel pretty good about that and the avenues of growth there, especially when we get on Android. For monetization, as well as just growing organically through individual subscriptions and on our social media, because they're doing a great job. And I really do think the sky's the limit, because when you have the right people on the bus and you have the team going, not everything's always sunshine and rainbows, but we learn, we adapt, we overcome, and we keep moving forward. So I'm really excited about the future. I think that, in the next year we could really scale and close a lot of deals with universities and really get the name out there. But regarding my future, it's going to be Ascend, like all in on Ascend. That's my life passion. And as of right now, and, I'm sure, I definitely am going to start a couple of other businesses down the line for sure. Because I love it. I love seeing something start from nothing and learn and grow and just see it come into fruition. So as of right now, it's Ascend. And then I also got into UVA for graduate school.
Congrats.
Master's. I appreciate it. So contemplating that as well.
So your company and your team need you to lead at a higher level today than they did a year or two ago. And that same thing's going to be true a year or 2 or 5 from now. So how do you stay on top of your game and level up with the new leadership skills that your team, your company are going to need you to have?
100%. I think the first thing is kind of goes back to like the being curious and not judgmental, right? It's like network with as many mentors as I possibly can and just be quiet and take notes from them, learn from what's worked, what hasn't, and how I could implement that into like what I'm seeing. For instance, like, if I meet with a mentor and, we're kind of talking about a scenario and they've been through what I'm going through before. It's like, oh, like that didn't work. That's what I was thinking about. Maybe I should do what they're saying, and then that kind of grows. That's the first one. Second one is reading books. I think reading is so powerful and it's just a recharge. I mean, I love all the books you got. I could tell you're a big reader, but just finding new ways to read books, or whether that's, spiritual books or that's business books, philosophical books, whatever it may be, just reading in general, because our minds are so stimulated so much with our phones, with like TikTok and Instagram Reels, Twitter. It's just like dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. And it's like, I never have time to think when I do that, right? It's being able to constantly remind myself like, hey, I need to read for an hour today. And it's like, that's like my recharge along with like meditation, and I'm able to learn and grow from there. Definitely say that. And then, the last one is, just like learning, like podcasts, just network with as many people as I can, and just being very open-minded to new ways of growing, because at the end of the day, the company's always going to move forward. Things are going to change. So it's like, how can we be innovative as possible, learn, adapt, grow, and get to where we want to be?
I work with a lot of entrepreneurs in my capacity as an executive coach. And the one non-negotiable that I have for somebody that I'm going to work with one-on-one is that they have a teachable spirit. What you just described is not just a mindset, but a habitual practice of how you live, constantly learning, constantly seeking to grow, looking for where you can absorb new information that's going to help you grow. And you're very intentional about that. I wanted to call that out, and I want to encourage you, don't lose that. That is so important. And I see that in the most successful people.
I appreciate that. It means a lot.
What in thus far in your journey, and you're still early in the journey, imagine there are no shortage of people who have given you advice. What is the best advice you've gotten so far?
Wow. That's a loaded question for sure. I think for the business, it's definitely, stay within your niche for the first year. Like, find whatever market you're going to dominate that market, find that, like, get through that proof of concept phase and help those people, and then kind of branch out, because early on, you don't want to be like all over the place. So we really want to focus on, college athletics and like student athletes, because, that's who I was. That's my story. That's kind of why we started it. So it's like, how can we best assist them, dominate that market, and then kind of branch out? That was definitely the best piece of advice I got early on from a business perspective, just because I did that, right? I was kind of all over the place and we weren't seeing growth. And then when I kind of tailored it back, then things started going good. So, and the mentors were so good at Winston Starts, Stan and Mike, who really have helping us out every week. It's a startup accelerator in downtown Winston. They're just unbelievable. And then the best piece of advice I got from like just a mentor as well, I'm like on a personal level, was just start now, right? It's like, people talk about it all the time, but it's like the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. It's like, you can plan all you want in your life, and you can have the best plans, the best ideas ever, but without action, you're never going to get anywhere. And vision plus action equals change. My partner Hampton is very good with vision. I'm very action oriented. And that's why I feel like we make such a great team. And that's going to equal a lot of change in this world where we can help people. So that's kind of like another one of my life philosophies is, if I have an idea, if it's something I'm passionate about and aligns with my purpose, my why, it's like, go for it, because I got one life. So why not start now?
Love that. If you could go back to the very first day that you started Ascend, and you could tell yourself something based on what you know now, you can go back and talk to that version of Walker. What would you love to go back and tell yourself?
Less money, Shogun, but it's good. But I would definitely just say that just continue to be open-minded. You're gonna have days when you think things aren't going right, but it's like, it's always dark right before the light, right? So just to keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep going. And I think that the Walker from a year ago would be very proud of the Walker that's here now. But definitely cutting back on expenses too, for like some stuff that, learning experiences, right? So, yeah.
No wasted experience, right?
Right, exactly.
You've mentioned a number of books so far. I'm just curious, is there one or two in particular that have made a really big difference in your journey that you'd recommend?
Yeah, obviously like the Bible, like Proverbs, like anything in the New Testament, just unbelievable. And there's a lot of wisdom like all throughout it, even if you're not a Christian. So I would definitely say the Bible. The second one that I really liked a lot was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Definitely like changed the way I think, and like definitely like even like the practices too. Same with the Psychology of Winning. That one was great, and it's a lot very interactive. And I'm reading one right now that's a little bit different. Called Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. But it's definitely really helping me with my meditation practice and learning about the energy centers and all that good stuff. But other than that, and obviously How to Win Friends and Influence People. That one's unbelievable. One of my favorite books ever. And then Speed of Trust, which is actually written by the son of Stephen R. Covey that wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Definitely recommend that one for team building as well.
Great list. We'll have those links in the show notes.
Awesome.
If you could share one piece of advice with the people who are listening today, the leaders, the entrepreneurs who are tuning in, what would you love to share with me?
Definitely a couple things, but I think the biggest one would just be put your head down and work. I think that the journey of 1,000 steps or 1,000 miles begins with the first step, right? Yeah. And to learn and grow every day, be curious, not judgmental, right? And get started. Because if you don't start, you don't have that action, no, you're never going to get to where you want to go. It's like that. It's like the old philosopher said. I forgot who it was. But he's like, the best time to plant a tree was like 20 years ago, but the next best day is today. So why not start now?
Love that bias for action. That's brilliant. Walker, I know our listeners are going to want to stay connected to you and continue to learn from you and more about Ascend. What is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, all of our social medias like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, it's all ascendapp.ai. And then my personal email is Walker Ferguson at ascendmeditations.app. I'd love to connect with you guys.
We'll have all those links in the show notes as well. Walker, thank you for sharing from your story so far, what you've learned, the insights that you've gleaned. And I know that your best days are ahead of you, man. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Attaway.
If today's episode resonated with you, you need to be at the Scale with Stability Summit this April. I'll be there, along with many of my clients. This event is packed with real strategies to help you scale without losing what matters most. Standard tickets are already 25% off, and you can take an extra 20% off with code Catalytic20 at checkout. Go to scalewithstability.com now to lock in your spot. I'd love to see you there.